In a small town, a violent murder breaks the calm, leaving behind a trail of mystery. Alan Fernandez, a man hoping to leave his past behind, is shot without mercy. But the real story behind his death is even more disturbing. Through call logs, buried truths, and stunning admissions, the case reveals a web of betrayal, bloodshed, and a dark underworld that won't let go. How could love and loyalty bring about such a tragic end? Don't miss this gripping investigation. Love's cost usually, love brings us joy, and we're ready to do anything for someone we care about. But at times, chasing love can lead us to dark places. Alan Fernandez's tale shows how this can go wrong. He was once part of a world of crime, but spent many years trying to leave it all behind. Still, while searching for a fresh start, he got dragged back into a mess of lies and violence, all because of the people he once knew. On a wet summer evening in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Alan Fernandez's life came to a brutal end, not at random, but by people he had once trusted. It seemed like a planned attack. Someone wanted to make sure he didn't survive. His home had been torn apart, things were left in chaos, and a missing gun deepened the mystery. Everything pointed to one sad truth: loving and staying loyal to those from his past may have cost him his life. His dream of living clean ended in blood, leaving behind pain and crime scene. On the night of July 30th, 2009, the quiet town of Scranton, Pennsylvania, was rocked by a sudden and shocking crime. Emergency teams were called to a country road just beyond the city after a report came in about a man hit by a car. But when they got there, it was clear this was not an accident. It was a killing. A Hispanic man, later named as Alan Fernandez, was found dead on the road, shot several times. The rain was pouring, and blood was being washed away, making it hard to collect evidence. Police blocked off the scene quickly, and forensic teams did all they could to find clues, even with the rain making things worse. They found many bullet shells, some from a .40 caliber gun and others from a 9mm, suggesting more than one shooter was involved. It didn't look like a random act. It seemed like a planned and cold-blooded killing. Victim's identity: the victim found on that rainy night was Alan Fernandez, a 29-year-old man with a complicated past. He had recently been released from a correctional facility and was living in a halfway house in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. At first glance, it seemed like Fernandez was trying to turn his life around, distancing himself from the criminal lifestyle that had once consumed him. However, his past was never far behind, and it seemed that those who he once associated with had not forgotten him. Upon searching his pockets, investigators discovered his Pennsylvania state identification card, confirming his identity. But there was more to uncover. Fernandez had purchased a burner phone just hours before his death, a clue that would lead detectives down a dark path. His family and those around him believed he was attempting to leave behind the chaos of his former life, but the violent end he met suggests that his past ties would not allow him to escape so easily. Clues found: investigators quickly began to piece together the details surrounding Alan Fernandez's murder. The discovery of a burner phone receipt in his pocket provided the first major clue. The phone had been purchased at a Walmart in Hazleton just hours before his death, and the receipt included the phone number that was active in the hours leading up to the murder. This burner phone became a key piece of evidence. Further analysis of the phone records revealed that Fernandez had been in contact with two cell phone numbers, both belonging to Barbara Future and her boyfriend, Robert Pfizer. Despite their initial denials, phone records showed multiple calls between Fernandez and these individuals on the night of his murder. These connections led investigators to question Barbara Future and Robert Pfizer, who seemed to have more involvement than they initially let on. Additionally, the two women who discovered the body reported seeing a vehicle with bright headlights leaving the scene. Although the details were vague, it added another layer to the investigation as detectives tried to trace the movements of the vehicle and its possible connection to Fernandez's death. These clues would set the stage for a deeper dive into the individuals closest to Fernandez, ultimately leading investigators closer to identifying the perpetrators. Unraveling motive: as detectives dug deeper into Alan Fernandez's life, they uncovered troubling ties to his past. Fernandez had previously been affiliated with a local criminal organization, and despite his efforts to leave that life behind, his involvement with dangerous associates continued to haunt him. Investigators focused on identifying those in his inner circle, believing that his murder was likely connected to his past actions. The clues pointed to a potential motive: betrayal. Investigators discovered that Fernandez's connections to certain individuals, like the future brothers, Jeff and Tony, were at the heart of the mystery. These men, along with others close to Fernandez, had ties to criminal activities and were involved in prior violent incidents. Fernandez's shift from one criminal group to another might have made him a target, as he was perceived as a threat by those who didn't want him leaving his past behind. The more detectives uncovered, the clearer it became Fernandez's murder was not a random act, but a calculated decision by those he once considered friends. His efforts to escape the grip of his criminal past had likely led to his demise, as the criminal world is unforgiving to those who try to break free. The presence of the .40 caliber weapon, often used by law enforcement, and the involvement of individuals with shady backgrounds, pointed to a web of betrayal that ultimately cost Fernandez his life. Confessions unfold after weeks of intense investigation. The breakthrough came when Robert Pfizer, Barbara Future's boyfriend, began to crack under pressure. As detectives continued to press him, he became increasingly nervous and started revealing more details about his involvement and the events surrounding Alan Fernandez's murder. Pfizer had overheard conversations about the murder and other crimes, which eventually led him to provide crucial information. Pfizer's revelations pointed investigators toward his girlfriend's sons, Jeff and Tony Future, who were soon identified as key suspects in the murder. Despite initial denials, the evidence against them began to pile up, particularly the cell phone records linking them to the victim on the night of the murder. The Future brothers' involvement was further confirmed when they admitted to picking up Fernandez in Hazleton and transporting him to Scranton, where the murder took place. Eventually, Tony Future's confession to the crime sealed the case. He admitted that his brother Jeff had masterminded the murder, motivated by the belief that Fernandez was jumping between criminal organizations. With the confession, investigators were able to tie all the pieces together. The missing gun from a previous robbery, a state trooper's weapon, was found and confirmed to be the weapon used in the murder. The complex web of lies and betrayal unraveled, leading to the conviction of the Future brothers, their friend Christian Kenyon, and Jasmine Rivera, who played a pivotal role in the crimes. With all confessions in hand, the case that had seemed insurmountable at first was finally closed. However, the emotional toll on the victim's family was undeniable, as they had hoped for a different outcome. A life that could have been lived outside the shadows of crime. The web of lies and betrayal finally unravels, but the heart-wrenching truth remains: Alan Fernandez's attempt to leave his violent past behind cost him everything. What could have made these individuals go so far? Was it love, revenge, or something darker? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on more gripping stories. And don't miss our next video: how obsession led this couple to commit the unthinkable